see if that one works. Looks like it is. Hi guys, welcome to episode 53 of live security dog handler Q&A/talk. I don't really do that anymore, it's just a live, isn't it? Welcome to episode 53. I had some internet issues for some reason, although I'm not attached to the internet, but the internet just dropped out on me, so I've had to start up a new one. So whether anyone's got a reminder, well, no one's going to have a reminder on for this one, but hopefully some people will come to the live because it's Thursday at 8 p.m. But yeah, other than that, hope your week is going well so far. Mine's been pretty good. Overslept today a little bit. Wasn't late for work, but normally I get up about 2:30ish. Didn't wind up getting up didn't wake up until about 3:45 today, so it was a bit of a rush to get everything sorted and get out the door, but we left on time in the end. So yeah, welcome to this live, and I've got some top 5 lists in the Discord yesterday or the day before. I asked some people for some top 5 lists of maybe some videos and different things like that, and people sent some stuff through. Some of them that probably is not worth making a video on, just because in my experience or what I know, I maybe haven't got a top 5, but it's definitely some lists that we can do during the live and different things like that. So we'll get to that in a little while. Wait for a few more people to come in, etc. But I'll do that in a little while. But yeah, it's been absolutely freezing. It was properly cold last night. I think minus 5. I think it got to last night. Well, it definitely was when I left work in the morning, -5. So we are in the deep freeze at the moment. But like I say, all part of the job. We've got a few more months, and then the warmer weather will be on its way. And I think looking forwards rather than looking at the present is probably the best way to sort of get through it, etc. But yeah, this is my 3rd winter now doing this. 2 summers, 3 winters. Yeah, 2 summers, 3 winters. And yeah, like I say, it's just part of the job, working in -5 conditions. I think one of the best ways to cope with the cold conditions is to do stuff with the dog. Obviously have a decent setup, etc. But like I say, you have to prepare for this type of weather to be able to get through it. It's not something you can't just turn up and expect to try and get through it. You have to have some you have to prepare, have the right stuff, extension leads, something to keep warm, heater, whatever it is, electric blanket if I use the Blue 80, etc. You just have to be prepared for it. But the same way that you have to be prepared for the summer when it's roasting hot and you've got to try and keep you and the dog cool, etc. So I think just through experience and doing 2 or 3 winters, or even 1 winter, you'll know for the next one what you need, and doing summers you'll know what you need for the next year, etc. I think the summer coming up is going to be an interesting one, because it's going to be the first time doing a summer in this van. I've done summers in the other van, etc. And although that's okay, this is going to be the first one in this van, and with it being a little bit bigger and some more places to sort of chill out, etc. It's going to be a different summer this year, because in the old van, where like the cage took up the whole boot and I just had the front cab, there was ways of keeping the van cool, etc. But now with a bit of extra room back there, not so cramped in the front here, it's going to be a different one, a different type of summer, I think, in this van. But yeah, like I say, if just going through maybe 1 winter or 1.5 winters, you will learn to be prepared on what you need, etc. when it comes to what you need, etc. Aaron Buckland, hi mate, how are you doing? Hope you're good. Like I say, it's just a bit of a deep freeze last night, -5 last night. So yeah, this is a top 5 list. I've got, like I said, in the Discord, I asked some people for some top 5s for sort of video ideas and that, and they gave some decent ones. I'm going to do one of them for the video on Saturday. I actually haven't recorded that. I felt a little bit ill and a bit crappy last night, so I never got round to doing it. So I'm going to film a top 5 tonight for the video on Saturday, but there were some that people put in that, like I said earlier, I probably can't do a whole video on it because of my experience or what I know is not. I can't really give a top 5. I can maybe give you like 2 or 3. But yeah, so the first one I got was top 5 worst type of people to turn up on site. Now, in my opinion, the top 5 worst type of people to turn up on your site, there's obviously different levels to this. You've obviously got your massively aggressive people, you've obviously got your massively aggressive group, etc. They're obviously sort of some of the top worst people to turn up on your site. But I've found with not the minimal, but the people that I've dealt with on site, so I haven't really, when I've had a fenced off area, I've had no one break in or walk across site, etc. But you guys will know that I worked that site without a fence line, and some people were cutting through and different things like that, and I just had to say to them, like, look, just do me a favour, can't use this as a cut through, just use the public footpath that goes around the site, etc. And I found, to be honest, I found the easiest ones were teenagers, kids, different things like that. I found them the easiest. The people that I found to be the most difficult to deal with are people with an attitude that don't want to drop that attitude. So they have an attitude towards you without even knowing you, and they have that sort of attitude of they'll do what they like and you just have to go with it. I found them reasonably difficult to deal with, but in that sense, just asking them to do something, letting them have the attitude, letting them do whatever they're doing in terms of walking through site and walking out the other side, not getting too involved, just having a word with them, letting them have that bit of attitude. It's not going to, I think in this job you have to have a pretty, not a thick skin, but you have to just take what people say with a pinch of salt. So in terms of one of the people that I dealt with, they was walking across and I asked them not to, and he did it. I think this is when I first turned up. I never had the signs out on the van, etc. I was literally just swapping over with someone, and the other dog handler had just left, and he started walking across, said, look, do me a favour, can you not use this as cut through? He told me to piss off, and I didn't have my vest on, didn't have all that sort of stuff, so I was like, you know what, let him cut through, he's not going anywhere. And then about 15-20 minutes later, he cut through again, and halfway across he's sparked up a cigarette because he obviously wanted to look hard and intimidating, etc. But at this point I had my vest, all my dog signs were on the van, etc. So I thought, right, I'll get out, I'll have a word with him. And as he was walking towards me, he was puffing on his cigarette, trying to look hard, blowing smoke and all that sort of nonsense. And he walked straight at my van and straight towards me. He could have easily have walked around me and not had to deal with me, but he decided to walk straight at me. And I said to him, look, listen, I asked you not to use this as a cut through, just use the public footpath to go around next time. And he told me to fuck off again, and then he told me to get a real job. So I said to him, look, just walk across there, off you go. And he kind of just carried on through. So dealing with someone with an attitude or something like that, they're difficult in terms of you're not going to get much out of them, and what they're looking for is to try and get a rise out of you. Therefore, if they get a rise out of you, they will try and provoke you even more. I've found with them types of people, just dealing with them on a low level of just having a conversation and letting them, if they're cutting through, just let them carry on cutting through. As long as they're not going towards anything that you're kind of protecting, etc., just letting them carry on and get through out the other side. That's normally the best way to sort of deal with them. So people with an attitude, because you can't talk to them sorts of people with attitudes, etc., but you can sort of just not provoke that attitude, because if you provoke that attitude, that's when they start getting a bit more noisy. They might start kicking off, etc., and things like that. So that's maybe one of them. But like I say, that's quite easy to deal with. It's just difficult because when you have a conversation with them, they're just probably scared to tell you fuck off, or they're just going to be rude towards you. And like I say, if you've got reasonably thick skin, then you'll just laugh it off and let them carry on doing whatever they're doing, etc. One of the other worst types of people I would say is someone that's arrogant or ignorant. I had someone that walked across and they was on the phone and they thought that their phone call was more important than what I had to say. Bear in mind they was walking across my site, so saying something to them and them just completely blanking you because they think if they're on the phone, they think that their phone call is more important than what you've got to say. So as I've always said, look, I just reiterated my point a little bit louder and not aggressive, but a bit sterner. And again, on that situation, they just carried on their phone and they was often walking across site and they was off within a couple of seconds. But someone that's ignorant or arrogant, where they think that whatever they're doing is far more important to what you're doing, you're not going to get much conversation out of them, you're not going to get much sense out of them. So they can also be some of the worst type of people, because you'll say something to them and they'll just blank you, they'll just ignore you. But it's just your job just to either reiterate that point, or look, you've said it once, if you've got it on body cam, you said it once, you said it twice, whatever, just follow them, make sure that they walk off the other side, and if they do, then the interaction is over as far as I'm concerned. And once I reiterated my point to him a little bit louder, a little bit sterner, and he actually took the phone away from his ear to mouth something from, he's probably telling me to fuck off again, but he mouthing something from sort of 15, 20, 25 yards, whatever it was. When he come back, he actually walked around on the public footpath. So even when they're arrogant or ignorant and they want to tell you to, and they think whatever they're doing is more important, just by saying it and reiterating it, and not, if you say something and they just blank you, making sure that they hear it and they say it, sometimes will make them think, well, I won't deal with that next time, and I'll use the public footpath. So they're sort of the worst two. I found not so much clients, because I think that when I've been to sites and the bosses are there or whatever it is, whoever I have to report to or I deal with, etc., they've always been pretty good. I think the first time I turned up to a site on my own, he was like, oh, fucking another dog handler that I've got to put through something where I had to sign and say, look, he's giving me a walk through a site, etc., different things like that. But largely, whenever I turn up, they're happy to see me. So them types of people. But definitely workers that turn up, I think you have to be a little bit. Like I like to, if I'm working a site and one of the workers turns up, I like to go and say hello, or I like just to say morning or whatever it is. And I think you have to step around it a little bit, that not everyone wants to talk to someone at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. So some of the workers that I've dealt with, where you go up and you say hello and they just give you a grunt, or they just go hello, and then they just kind of blank you, or different things like that. Sometimes they're the worst type of people to turn up on site, because you're not doing them a favour, but you're working for their benefit, and they will give you a grunt, they won't respect you in terms of they won't have a chat with you, or they won't even say good morning to you. I found that that's some of the worst people that I've had turn up on site are actually people that are turning up for work, that don't appreciate that you've been there all night to make sure that they've got materials to turn up to work with. Because let's say I wasn't there and they turn up to work and all of their materials have been stolen, therefore their day of work is now gone. So I think sometimes some of the worst people is the people that don't appreciate that you've sat there for 12, 15 hours and looked after their stuff so that they can turn up to do work, etc. So I think that they're probably the 3 worst type of people. But like I say, you probably have your organised gangs, you have your different people, your really aggressive people, your people that are that train with weapons and martial arts and all that sorts of stuff. I think that's quite an obvious of worst type of people. But I'll definitely say that people with attitudes that where they have an attitude where if you confront them, they're only going to get more aggressive. They're one of the worst types, because you don't want to be the instigation of of an aggressive behaviour, because then it could come across that you have actually started it by provoking that person into an aggressive act. It could be looked upon as that you started it. So yeah, people with attitudes, you don't want to sort of provoke them into something, because it could get turned back on you. Ignorant and arrogant, where you just chat to people or you say something to someone and they'll just kind of blank you and carry on doing whatever they're doing. But yeah, sometimes it is just people that are turning up to site that are not appreciative of obviously you sitting on a site for 12-15 hours looking after their stuff, and they just kind of go, yep, cheers, whatever, bye, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's some of the worst people I think that you can have turn up on site, outside of obviously your organised gangs, organised criminals, people that will actually really want to do harm, that are turning up to do the harm rather than just cutting through or different things like that. Right, the next top 5 someone asked me is top 5 suppliers of security dog training equipment. Now, they are things like bite bars, sleeves, tugs, muzzles, leads, collars. I don't have a massive experience in lots of different companies. So the ones that I know are 4 Dog Trainers. That's where I've got my bite bar and my sleeve. So 4 Dog Trainers is that one. It's just the security for the outside. So you dare come up and say hello to me. What's he doing? What's he doing? So yeah, 4 Dog Trainers is where I've got my lead, where I've got my bite bar and my sleeve from. So they're pretty good. If you go on there, I can vouch for them, and they're, in terms of delivery, they seem to be pretty good as well. I've always got my stuff in a pretty decent time. Von Wolf is where I got my little bite bar. So I've got a little bite bar. It's only about this big, and I got that more for Ollie, because Ollie was not interested in playing ball and different things like that, but he's quite interested in playing tug or whatever. So like at home, I've got some ropes and that, and Cooper grabbed one end, Ollie will grab the other, and they'll have a bit of a tug. So Ollie's more interested in playing with sort of tug toys. So I've got Ollie a little bite bar kind of thing that's about this big. I got that off Von Wolf. That's been pretty good. That's pretty decently made. So I can vouch for 4 Dog Trainers and Von Wolf in terms of their sort of sleeve bite bar types of quality of equipment. I've got the Hessian ones. Oh god, what's the name of the collar I've got? Guard collars. God, I can't remember what it's. And I'm on my phone that has the Instagram account. Guard collars, I want to say. I don't even know. I don't know how this work phone works either. I should have looked this up before I come and done the thing, shouldn't I? Guard collars. Is that what? Why am I on the weather? Okay, Jesus. So yeah, guard collars or something like that it's called. Fucking this thing is shit. Is that what do people have? Because the Android phones drive me absolutely fucking mental. Give me an iPhone any day of the week, because Android phones drive me absolutely mental. Guard collars. Guards. Please give me a website that I can use. Yeah, that's it. Guard canine collars. It is GARD. It's not GUARD. So yeah. So Guard. So GARD. Canine Collars UK I'll put links down in the description of this video once it's finished. So Guard Canine Collars is the collar that I use for Coop. Let me grab it quick. Where are you, Coop? Come here, mate. Coop, here. Here. Turn around. I think I just woke him up. So Guard Canine Collars is this collar that I got for Coop. I've had this for maybe a couple of years now, and yeah, this has been really good as well. So this is his sort of working collar, stroke sort of patrol collar, different things like that. This has been really good. I got one with a handle, but also you can get some decent embroidery on there. That's showing back to front on me, but hopefully that's showing the right way around for you guys. So yeah, these Guard Canine collars has been pretty good. In terms of leads, I've always got my leads off of Terry. I've got probably 3 or 4. I think I've got 3 or 4 at the moment, because obviously Terry's now retired. I've got a couple of extras, so that when obviously the ones that I'm using now, whenever they break or I need to get new ones, I've got some spares, because it's not going to be as easy as it was just to go and buy another lead. But I know that 4 dog trainers, Von Wolf probably do them as well. That Guard Canine collars as well, they do leads, etc. So yeah, I think that they're kind of like my main 2 or 3 in terms of training, etc. I must admit, like, this has been a bit of a game changer in terms of especially doing patrols and that, when the dog's at the end of the lead and he's pulling you, and he's got a slightly wider collar going obviously around sort of the throat area. When I first started, and I was using sort of not pet collars but more pet designed collars that aren't as, no, I'm not going to say thick, whatever that is. You could really hear it cutting in where it's a bit bigger. This one is much better on the dog. So yeah, Guard Canine collars, 4 dog trainers and Von Wolf, they're the ones that I can vouch. Like I say, for 4 dog trainers and for Von Wolf, it's more for their sort of biting, so their bite bars and sleeves, etc. In terms of Guard Canine collars, it's obviously the collar that I can vouch for, because like I say, I've been using this for a couple of years now. And it's been really good. It's still in more or less perfect nick. It obviously has got some dings and some bangs around it, but yeah, I put this through the washing machine, comes out as good as new. Dermot Leeson, hi all. With dog shelters cramped with Malinois, German Shepherds and such, especially after COVID or a popular film comes out, can these dogs be retrained for the security industry, or is a pup best? It's a strange one, because it all depends. So if you take Cooper for example, so a lot of you guys know my story. 18 months before I even decided that me and Coop were going to do this, so I spent 18 months saying don't bark at anyone, don't jump at anyone, don't bite anyone. I spent 18 months telling him not to do that, and the way in which Terry said to me is, look, you spent 18 months suppressing everything that you want from a security dog. So in terms of don't bite people, don't bark at people, if people are threatening, then you back down. And that's why a lot of people have these German Shepherds and they have these big dogs, etc. And at home, when someone's coming in, they get the dog and they tell the dog to go in, and they get the dog away from the door. They tell the dog not to bark at them, etc. And then when someone breaks in their house, or the dog has been taught, don't bark at them, don't approach this person, back off, go somewhere else. Where with our dogs, you want them loud, you want them up front, you don't want them backing down, etc. So in terms of when dogs have gone into shelters, it all depends on sort of their backgrounds, etc. If they're slightly older, then they've had more time of that stuff being suppressed, where 18 months we could get that kind of back out, I just had to basically turn around to Coop and say, you know, all that stuff I told you not to do, right, we're going to do that now. And that was not one of the arguments. So me and the missus had a discussion the other day, and basically what it was is that some people walk reasonably close to our flat, and sometimes Cooper goes, you know what, I don't like the look of this guy, or especially if they're wearing high vis. We've got building works going on around us, people walk around in high vis. Now, when I've worked on building sites, people walk around in high vis and the dog goes mental because they're on his site, etc. So especially anyone in a high vis, I'm slightly more apprehensive about walking too close to him, etc., just in case Coop goes, this guy looks like one of the guys that I normally bark at. And Coop will go absolutely mad and he'll go mental at the window. And the missus said to me the other day, she's like, this is driving me mad, he keeps doing this, and he keeps barking at people that are walking close to the flat, etc., and different things like that. And I said to her, look, do you want him to do that? She's like, no, I don't want him to do that. And I said, well, do you want him to do that if that person's trying to break into the flat? And she said, yeah, I want him to do that. I said, well, you can't have it both ways. Yes, you want to put in a command, which he's getting better with her, is that if she tells him to stop, he will start backing down, or at least he will lower down the level of bark, etc. Because when he goes full bells, he does fill the whole flat up with noise. So he will start bringing it down a bit, and now he's getting better with her. When she says, Coop, come away, that he will come away. But you can't have it both ways. I've told him that he's allowed to do that when we're at work and when he thinks that there is a threat. He might think that that person's a threat to our flat, therefore that's what he does. So I think in terms of sort of the shelter stuff, it all depends on what their sort of background is. It's more of a flip of a coin, but then again, sometimes pups can be a flip of a coin. You could get some pups that are meant to be good and sometimes they're not. It depends on their training, etc. I definitely think with Malinois, you're probably more likely that they've not had too much suppressing them, because that's the reason, most of the time, that's the reason why Malinois have been given up, is because they haven't been able to suppress the energy, the genetics of the dog, and that's why they've ended up giving it up. A lot of the times with German Shepherds, etc., they've been given up because they're a big bulky dog, maybe they are a little bit aggressive, etc. But what Terry said to me once is that if you are going to go down that route, if you are going to go down the route of going to a shelter and saying, look, this is the job I do, ask the shelter people, because they will have an idea. Because again, with shelters, etc., in order to get these dogs rehomed to pet households, they need to put in training of making sure the dog doesn't bark at people, making sure the dog is not aggressive towards people or other dogs, making sure that it walks to heel, making sure that it doesn't pull on the lead, making sure it doesn't do what we would want it to do in patrol. Because if it's been taught to always walk to a hill, if you tell it to go out in front and start doing a patrol, etc., it might be like, no, I don't do that. So obviously, whilst it's at the shelter, they will be training, they'll be putting in training to be able to rehouse that to a pet household. Now, like I say, Malinois, you're probably more likely to get a decent one. But again, so going back to Terry said to me, he said, if you walk into a shelter, you say, look, I want the loudest dog you have. So when you walk into the shelter, if there's a German Shepherd that's sitting in the corner and he's a little bit quiet and he's a little bit shy, then probably not the best one for security. If you walk past one and walk past a German Shepherd and he's the loudest dog in there, you go, right, I'll have that one, because that we can work with that. We can teach the dog to lower the levels. But if we've got one that's naturally going to start barking and is going to be loud and up front, that's the one we want. So yeah, like I say, it is a bit of a minefield. Depends on how quickly you want to get into the industry as well, isn't it? If you can wait a year to 18 months, then a pup might be best. But if you want to be in the industry within the next sort of 6 months, maybe a slightly older dog, even one from shelters, etc., is possible. But like I say, I would speak to the shelter as well and say, look, don't lie to them about what you want, because they might have a dog in there and they say, look, we've got this dog, it's in here because it bit someone in the house, it's really loud and all that, and you say, right, that's what I want. So speak to the shelter, just say, look, I want this job for security. Have you got any dogs that are loud up front? Maybe have a sort of a bite history at home, because you can always sort of train that out. But yeah, like I say, it's a bit of a minefield. Both ways can go good or bad. But yeah, always look for the loudest, most up front. Don't look for the one, because a lot of people, when they buy puppies and that, a lot of people go for the quiet one that's in the corner, because they're like, oh, this one's nice and quiet, we'll go for this one. They don't want the one that's running around beating all the other dogs up. Some people do, but they want the one that's in the corner that's nice and shy. And that's what shelters will try and train out of a German Shepherd, a Rottweiler, a Malinois. They'll try and train a lot of the stuff out that pet owners don't want, so that they can rehouse it. So yeah, like I say, it is a bit of a minefield. There's no guaranteed going to a shelter whether you're going to get a good or a bad one. But yeah, definitely loud up front. Doesn't have to have a bite history, because you can train that later on, but definitely a dog that is loud and up front. And like I say, probably the younger you can get one, the better, because it's had less time to have stuff suppressed in it. If you get a dog that's 4 or 5 years old, that for 4 or 5 years old has been told it's not allowed to do barking, not allowed to be up front with people, etc., it's going to be a lot harder to train that stuff in. So like I say, the younger you get it, a little bit better, and obviously the louder the better, to be honest. Right, let's get back. What was the next one on the list? Top 5 easy meals to make in the back of a van during cold weather. Obviously, I don't have a kettle, I don't have a microwave. I could do on this site, because I've got the power socket. I could run a microwave off of the extension lead. I could run a kettle off the extension lead. But to be honest with you, I just can't be asked to mess around carrying all that stuff around in the van. So I'm quite simple with, I'm a kind of sandwich man, and if I want to have, like I had a rack of ribs before I come to work the other day, I'll have chicken and mushroom slices before I come to work. So I'll eat my hot stuff at home before coming to work. So I'm more of a sandwich kind of guy, salad kind of guy. But top 5 easy meals you can make in the back of the van during the cold weather. If you've got a microwave or a kettle, things like pot noodles or soba noodles, I endorse soba noodles a little bit more. I think they're better than pot noodles. So pot noodles, soba noodles, they're pretty good. I used to have them quite a lot when I was working on the building site and I had a hut. You could do soup if you had sort of a microwave. Obviously, if you get a pretty good flask that you can fill up with soup before coming to work, then if you've got a good flask, you keep that cold. Oh, fucking hell. If you get a flask that's going to keep that warm for a long period of time, I'm not sure what flask up to. Does flask do 8 hours or whatever? So if you've got a decent flask that you can fill up with hot soup before coming to work, then obviously you can bring that. But if you've got a microwave, then the world's your oyster, isn't it? You can get some ready meals like some macaroni cheese, some curries, and all that sort of stuff. So I think that you're probably looking sort of soba noodles stroke pot noodles. I'd say soba noodles over them. Then you've got things like soup and different things like that you can bring from home if you've got a decent flask that can keep stuff warm or hot for long periods of time. And if you've got a microwave, you can start going down the curry routes. You can start bringing stuff from home that you can heat up, whether it's rice, whatever, Chinese sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that's some of the easiest stuff. Like I say, I'm a pretty standard just a sandwich guy. I'll eat my hot stuff at home before coming to work, and then I'll just sort of treat my work shift as most people treat their day shift. So I'll have a sandwich for my lunch or whatever it is. So yeah, that's the kind of. But I'll say, look, you're looking at soba noodles, pot noodles, soup, and if you have a microwave, then you can start doing ready meals or decent meals. But yeah, they're the kind of stuff. They're the kind of things that you can look to do. But you've obviously got to have the room in order to do that. And I think that's one of the things I wish someone had told me. I wish someone had told me when I first started is that the bigger the van you can get, the better. And that's definitely going from my Volkswagen Caddy to this Vivaro. That's been one of the big things for me. Now, obviously, a Vivaro is not the biggest van you can buy, but in terms of I still wanted to be able to park it in spaces. I live in quite a residential area, so I don't have loads of room to park like a Sprinter or something that's massive like that. But definitely the bigger the van that you can get, the better it is, because it just allows you to have that little bit more freedom. Like with the difference between this Volkswagen Caddy and the Volkswagen Caddy and this Vivaro is that I've got double the amount of space in the front here with sort of the bench seat and the through flooring. But then I've got, what's that? I've got 4 foot by 6 foot. I've got another 4 foot by 6 foot in the back there that I've got that I can chill out. So I wish someone had told me that at the start, that the bigger the van you can get, the more options it gives you. Because if I wanted to have a microwave or a kettle or whatever, I can easily store that in here. I just can't be asked to be carrying that sort of stuff around for stuff that I don't really need. So yeah, like I say, top 5 easy meals is pot noodles, soba noodles. If you have you can obviously have soup, and then obviously ready meals if you want to go down that route, etc. Someone sent me this one, and I'll try and answer it. Top 5 excuses for when you get caught asleep on site. So top 5 excuses for when you get caught asleep on site. So you want to use just had a baby, got a new baby in the house. What else could you use? You could also use some help me out with this one, guys, because I have not got a clue. So top 5 excuses when you get caught asleep on site. You have got a new baby at home, whether you have or not. The dog's been ill, so you've had to stay up with the dog. So that's affected your sleeping pattern. You had the doctors. You had to go for a doctor's appointment. So that's 3. Another 2. I've been working extra hours for the company. Yeah, I've been working extra hours for the company. I've been working on. One more. What can I think of? One more. I've got diarrhea. They're the top 5. I've got diarrhea, and if I sleep, then I won't crap myself. There you're 5. Top 5 times you were scared a little bit and a bit of wee came out. Top 5 times I've been scared. Kid's birthday is a good one. Kid's birthday is a good one. Top 5 times I was scared and a little bit of wee come out. Number 1 was probably first or second shift that I'd done on my own. So when I first got into this, I spent about 2 or 3 weeks working alongside another handler. Now this was during COVID, and the place we was looking after was an abandoned site, so there was literally no one around. And I'd done them 2-3 weeks or whatever it was, and it was absolutely fine. And they said, right, we're going to send you there and you're going to do exactly the same job, but you're just going to be on your own now. So I was like, yep, that's absolutely fine. And one of the first times I absolutely shat myself was the first time that my dog saw a fox on site. And bear in mind, this was like one of my first or second shifts where it was just me on site. I knew about the area. Handlers have been shot with BB guns. It used to be a static site, but one of the statics got beaten up by some kids and they stole his van, etc. And they said, right, this is going to be you're going to be on this site on your own now. And I was like, yep, that's fine. Probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours into the site, I'm sitting there and looking around, nothing's going on, like looking at the gate, making sure. And obviously, being one of my first few shifts, like I was properly on it. Like I was properly, not saying I'm not now, but I'm a little bit more experienced now to to the point where I can kind of keep calm and I'm not so in my own head about stuff. So literally first few hours of like my first couple of shifts on, and I'm sitting there and I'm like looking around and like I'm concentrating on all these gates, making sure no one's walking around the fence, and I'm literally sitting there and I'm on edge a little bit because it's obviously one of my first few shifts, and a fox must have walked around the back of the van and the dog went fucking mental and I shat myself. Like I literally just froze for a second. I was like, right, what do I do? Like this is where I say, like, now when I'm sitting here and I'm more relaxed and different things like that, I play through kind of scenarios where what happens if someone comes from there, what happens if someone comes from there, what happens if this happens, and I kind of come up with resolutions in my head. Now I'm not saying exactly what I'm thinking is going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. Every situation is different, but what I've always tried to do is when I get to a site and I say, right, if someone comes from here, this is what I'm going to do. If someone comes from there, this is what. So hopefully when the dog barks or I see something, I already know what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going to jump over these back seats into the back where the dog is. I've got a lead in my vest here. I'll go out through the side door. Or if someone's coming from this angle, I'll get out and I'll walk to the back, get the dog. Or if it's someone that comes up to the gate, I'll do this, I'll do that, or whatever it is. Like I've got more means of escape or more means of getting to the dog. Someone asked me the other day, like, what would you do if you got into a situation where you couldn't get to the dog quick enough? And I said, like, I think that I've never say you thought of everything, but I've got 5 or 6 scenarios where if different things happen, I can get to the dog quicker than someone can get to me. So someone smashes through that window, I'll be up over the back seat, or like I say, I should be able to see them coming, but if I have an instinct that they're going to smash the window here, I'll be back over them seats where the dog's escape hatch is quicker than they can smash that window. So I think so yeah, that was one of the first times I properly got a bit scared. Was like one of my first few shifts on my own, and the dog saw a fox and went off like he had seen a mass murderer. Other times that I've been scared, again, it always revolves around other animals. Like I'm quite happy to admit this. I was working on that building site on quite a steep slope with unsteady footwear, and I got Cooper out of the van, and as I always do, I said, right, out here. And as I was shutting the van, the downhill was behind me, and I think a badger run across, and as I'm shutting the van, Cooper's just gone, and I haven't seen him, but he's gone. And as he's done that, he's yanked me, and I've spun, and I've gone down this hill and cut all my trousers. I think I cut the top I was wearing, etc. And that wasn't in terms of scared, but to be going from standing up, shutting a van door, to skidding down a slope full of rocks, like that will shake you up a little bit. So yeah, that's maybe one of the other times. I mean, like I say, normally I'm pretty good with that sort of stuff. The problem with that site is that it was such a severe slope. Like it was it past 45 degrees? Like it was a properly severe slope. Like some people's handbrakes wouldn't hold the vehicles on the slope. So you're talking a properly steep slope, and it was all gravel and rubble and different things like that. So you had no proper footing. If that had been a tarmac or a paved area, I wouldn't have got pulled over. But that time I did. So I think that, yeah, the time where the dog barked at the fox and the time that the dog chased a badger and I was attached to the lead, they're probably the top two. Other than that, I've had sort of apprehensive times where I've been working a site and I was in the middle of nowhere and 2 or 3 cars pulled up outside the gate in like a drive sort of bit, and they was there for half hour, 40 minutes. Now it's not on the site that I'm looking after. It's not part of that property, so I can't tell them to go because they're on public land. So I can't tell them they have to leave, etc. I wouldn't say I was scared at that point, but the apprehension of like, why is this 2 or 3 cars out here in the middle of nowhere for 35-40 minutes and they're not really doing it, that just kind of puts you on a bit of an edge and gets the adrenaline going a little bit, where you're thinking like, are they turning up thinking I'm not here and they're planning something or whatever. So I wouldn't say I was scared in that, but I was definitely on edge through that sort of period. But other than that, I don't think I've been I'll tell a lie, probably the first time I ever got properly scared is when Terry made me put a sleeve on and sent Ash in to bite the sleeve. I properly cacked myself then, because I'd never seen a dog do sleeve work, and then all of a sudden I had a sleeve on and I had Ash, who's 40 kilos worth of German Shepherd, charging at me from sort of 5-6 feet. I probably cacked myself a little bit then, maybe a little bit of wee come out. But yeah, other than that, I don't think I can really name times where I've been like petrified or really scared of what's going on. Sometimes it's just you're on edge and something happens and it scares the shit out of you. Sometimes stuff's going on and it just puts you on edge of what is going on. But other than that, I'd say that's pretty much it. Yeah, come on, don't do that to me. Oh, don't do that to me. This light. Should I be telling stories like this? Will it make it a little bit more scary if I do talks like this? Right, sit like that then. Right. This light's starting to go, or the batteries are starting to go in this light. Top 5 socks to stop my feet from freezing. Speaking with Aaron, he's said that 100% wool socks are the best things for cold weather. They're moisture wicking, they'll wick away the sweat, which will stop the sweat from freezing around your feet. Yeah, wool socks is the best thing for it, as far as I've been told. What I find is that getting out in these conditions is that your boots get cold from walking on the cold ground, and then what happens is that the cold boot makes the sweat freeze, and that's why I get cold feet. Now I will spend some time where I have the fan heater on the floor pointing straight at my boots and getting the boots warm, and that's a way of keeping your feet warm. Problem is if you get them too warm, then they start sweating, then you walk out there, boots get cold, freeze the sweat, and you get cold feet again. So you have to be a little bit careful with it. But yeah, wool socks is what Aaron said will be the best thing for trying to keep your feet warm during these cold conditions, etc. And then the last one, we'd make this the last one. Top 5 annoying things your dog does that you will turn a blind eye to. So some of the annoying things my dog does that I turn a blind eye to is Cooper having a go at people walking past the window. I've trained him to not do that specifically, but I have trained him to detect on what he thinks is a threat, and to make that threat go away is to be loud and up front. So look, it is a little bit annoying. As long as you can put a stop to it and tell him to go away. The problem is that Ollie at the moment, so I'll give you a good example. So today I'm laying in bed, I've got home from work, I'm laying in bed, etc. Coop lays on the bed next to me, and he's laid up against me, which is where Ollie normally sits. So Ollie will sit up against me and he'll lean on me. So Cooper's in the way, stopping Ollie from basically putting his elbow on me, like resting his elbow on me is what he does. So Ollie jumps off the bed, walks into the front room, barks at the window. Cooper somersaults up off the bed, runs out, starts going absolutely ballistic at someone walking past. Ollie has learned, if Ollie detects on something that he gets scared about, Coop will come in like a bulldozer and be the front man. Cooper will be the one, because Cooper probably understands that Ollie is smaller, less skilled, more scared. So Cooper probably understands that he has to be the one in front. A bit like he does with me, where he'll say, look, I'll be in front, I'll protect you from whatever that is. But Ollie's now learned, if Ollie wants Cooper to get up and play, or if he wants Cooper to get up so that he can lay next to me on the bed, all he has to do is bark at the window and Coop goes charging over. So that's one of the things. But like I say, I turn a blind eye to things that I've trained into him that are useful for work. For example, when I go out on walks and I've got two collars, so I've got the slip chain, so the one that I'll use for obedience. So I've got the slip chain, and then I put his work collar on in terms of like a flat collar. And the reason that I use the work collar for walking around is that if he does decide that he wants to hit the end of the lead, I want the best buckle and the best collar for the job. Now, the best buckle and the best collar I've got for the job is his work one. So I rely on Cooper understanding home environment and home surroundings to work environment and work surroundings, and he's pretty good. Like when I've been living at our place for 2.5 years now, and he's only ever barked at 2 or 3 people when we've been out just doing our general walking, etc. So in 2.5 years, I would say that's pretty good, considering that me and him go through probably half a dozen dogs a week of them barking at him having to go at a couple of people over the few years. The other day we had a Chihuahua escape from someone's house and come up and start having a go at Coop. Coop didn't really react. For some reason, Coop doesn't react to small dogs. Big dogs, Coop will have a go at. But if it's like a small dog, like a Chihuahua or something like that, he never barks at them. He never worries about them. I just kind of stood still, waiting for the owner to come and get their dog, and took it back in, and he said sorry. And look, I think that's something that I've kind of learned in this industry as well. Is that when you see stuff online of pet owners, and like it might be someone's little dog, and I understand situations are. I understand that situations are different and different surroundings, and I understand all that, but when pet owners get their phone out and start videoing little dogs that are running up around their dog or whatever it is, I just think to myself, like, you're just doing it for content, because a Chihuahua has run out its front door, run under a bush, and run up to me and Coop, and it's about 3 or 4 foot in front of Coop, and it's running backward forwards and it's barking at Coop. Is that a dangerously out of control dog? No, because I could kick that thing back into its garden if I really wanted to. Is it a dangerous, out of control dog in terms of, is it really going to hurt Coop? No, it's not really going to hurt Coop. I understand maybe if I had Ollie, it might be a bit different, etc. But what I have learned what I have learned from doing this job is that I learned not to overreact. I've sort of learned not to make a big thing out of something that's quite small. Like even when I was walking Ollie the other day, and there's a guy who owns a German Shepherd just around the corner from me, and me and Ollie are walking, and I think I said about this in the live, me and Ollie are walking, and the German Shepherd's banged on the end of the lead to try and get to Ollie. I didn't make a big thing of it. I didn't say anything to him. I didn't like start saying, oh, you need to get that dog under control and different things like that, because in this industry, like, I understand that I might be only 1 or 2 days away from them walking past me and my dog having a bark at them. I understand that I may only be a couple of days away from that. So I've kind of learned that I'm not going to make big things as long as it's not a dangerously out of control dog. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like if a Chihuahua escapes out of someone's front door and comes up and has a go at my dog, I don't make a big thing of it. And that's something that I've kind of learned, that pet owners, the first thing they do is to get their phone out, start videoing it. They're like, I'm going to put this online, etc. It's like, I'll just piss off with you. Like, you can have an interaction with someone without having to video it. You know what I mean? Like, I say this as someone who does YouTube videos, but you can do stuff without videoing it. And look, that's something that I've just kind of learned in this, is just to have some sort of tolerance and say, look, don't worry about it. Like, it's just a Chihuahua. Like, it's not a dangerously out of control dog. It's not going to hurt anyone. Like, it's just being protective of its house. I can volley it back into your garden if you really want me to, but I won't. I'll let you come and get it, etc. The thing was, I couldn't really have a go at him as well, because if he come towards me So he's got a chihuahua. So Cooper's got a chihuahua in front of him that's running back and forth, having a go at him. And now the owner's walking towards me. I didn't want to have a go at him too much as well, because if he got within 5-6 feet and then Coop smacked on the end of the lead and wanted to have a go at him, then I'll be apologising to him. So if I make it as, look, don't worry about it, no big deal, then hopefully if it's the other way around, he'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. I've seen your dog loads of times, he's never done that before. So yeah, one of the other things, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about collar. So in terms of something that I turn a blind eye to, so I've got his slip that I'll do obedience with, and then I'll have Cooper's flat collar. I'll have his flat collar because I want the best collar if Coop decides to at the end of the lead. But when we go for walks, I will allow Coop to explore. I will allow him to pull a little bit on the lead, not excessive pulling as if like he's going to pull me over. But I will let Cooper explore. I will let him sniff stuff. I will let him pull a little bit. I will let him zigzag when he's on the flat collar, because when it comes to patrolling, that's what I want from him. I want him to investigate different smells. I want him not to pull, but if he smells something that he thinks is of interest, I want him to get to that location, or I want him to alert to me that he's smelt something. And I think that that's sometimes a good way of learning the keys of your dog. Like learning one of the keys of your dog is being able to pick up when there's a scent that he's interested in. And if you're always walking your dog to heel out and about and things like that, you won't learn to pick up the signal of when so if I'm walking down a footpath and my dog all suddenly walks and then suddenly turns straight right, like that's an indication of, oh, there's a smell there that takes interest. So when I'm working on site and the dog's in front and all of a sudden he darts across me to a smell, I'm like, right, that's a scent that he's interested in. There's something there that he's interested in. Yeah, might be some fox piss, or it might be some rabbit droppings or whatever it is. But by letting him explore when we're on our normal walks, I learn to pick up keys of when he's interested in stuff and different things like that. So sometimes I just do it just to let him so I can pick up on keys. But yeah, I'd say the barking at the window, because I've kind of put that into him that he is allowed to do that, but being able to put a stop to it, and a little bit of pulling, but more exploring and different things than that on our normal walks. So they're the kind of things I turn a blind eye to, because at the end of the day, like when me and the missus take the dogs out for a walk, after the first probably 20 minutes when Cooper needs to go for a toilet, after the first sort of 20 minutes, a lot of the time I give her Cooper and I take Ollie, because Ollie is harder to walk than what Coop is, because Ollie will smack the end of the lead, come back, smack the end of the lead, come back, smack the end of the lead, come back, where Coop will, all right, might be a bit of tension on the lead, but it's not like a constant pulling, it's not going to hurt you. Ollie needs to work on his obedience a little bit more, especially his sort of lead walking, etc. But again, I am partly to blame for that, because when it comes to, I mean, this is the thing, I don't know exactly how the drug sniffing and all that stuff's going to work, but when you go to somewhere, I want Ollie to know that he can explore all the smells, or the smells that he's interested in, so that when it comes to possibly doing scent detection for drugs, etc., he knows he's got a freedom to go out and he can explore and go to the smells that he wants. So I am partly to blame for that, but there's one thing my dogs are pretty good at, is being able to explore and being able to use their noses properly, and me being able to pick up on keys, because I can pick up on keys with Ollie when he's interested in stuff now. So yeah, like I say, they're probably the two main things that I turn a blind eye to, purely because it's decent for work sort of stuff. And look, it's not going to be good for probably a lot of pet owners. They'll probably get pissed off, but if that makes me a better dog team at work, being able to pick up on keys and the dog being able to know he can explore and he can pull me towards stuff that he's interested in, then hopefully then that makes us a better team, and obviously that would make us do a better job. I had that tickle in my throat for about the last 45 seconds. Dermot Leeson, 5 of the worst locations to work at. Five of the worst locations to work at. Any location that has, it's got a low battery. Any location that doesn't have a fence line, because with no fence line, people can walk on willy-nilly. So people can walk on willy-nilly. So any site without a fence line is a bit of an headache, because again, also with that, you can start getting into arguments with people of what is your site, what is public. They can argue the arse off of it. It becomes a bit annoying. So any site that doesn't have a fence line, a dump. I've worked at a dump before. It's not great. It's obviously a bit smelly. You've got decomposing rubbish, all that sort of stuff. It's not great for the dog, etc. So the dump is up there. Building sites in the winter. So building sites in the winter are a bit of a pain in the arse, because it can start messing up your motor. So if they've got like obviously stuff gets trod across all the place, so you might have like concrete, some old bits of concrete, etc. You might have some rubble, stones, different things like that flicking up, hitting the underside of your motor all the time. Obviously if it's in the winter time, you start getting like clay and all that in your van, and starts messing up your mats, which is why I've always said to people, and if you watch the Patreon video of my new van, always get the rubber non-slip mats for in the van, because they're not going to get ruined with clay. You can sort of wash it off. But yeah, it's building sites, because you start walking clay all into the van. The dog obviously gets clay all over it, and he jumps up, gets it all in the cage. He can get clay on his fur, which means then you have to keep washing him, so that you can wash all the clay and all that crap off. So yeah, building sites in the winter are not fun. You're obviously going to be in places where it's going to be deep, wet, thick mud, clay sort of stuff. So your boots get half ruined, your clothes starts getting all crap all over it. So yeah, so no perimeter, a dump, building sites in the winter. What are the other ones? I mean, sites that have had surveillance done on them, and in what that I mean, I went and done a site once for a few nights where they had people walking on during the day, taking photos of the building, etc., taking photos of the entrances, different things like that. They're not fun, because you've got a feeling that something is imminent, and if they're coming on and they're taking photos and different things like that, that means that it's a planned. It's not like someone who's a bit of a chancer. You're not dealing with chancers. If they've come on and they've started taking photos of different things like that, like they have some inside knowledge that if you're just getting there for the first time, that they probably have a little bit more knowledge than maybe you have. So yeah, so maybe some sites that have had some surveillance done on them, because then you kind of think that there's a planned thing going on. And look, chancers are much easier to deal with than someone that's planned, because with chancers, they take a chance, but there's no plan in their head of what they're going to do if they come up against a security dog handler. So normally if that's not in the plan, then they normally go, you know what, I'll back off and I'll run off. Someone that's planned, who knows that there's dog handlers on there, they have a plan already of what's going to happen if they are approached by a dog handler team. So yeah, it makes them a little bit dodgy sometimes. But yeah, I'd say that so that was probably 4. You said festival. You did say festival, yeah. You said festival. I've not worked festivals. I don't really plan on working festivals. Now obviously you do probably perimeter stuff. To be honest with you, I think from what I've heard from people, sort of perimeter festival work is pretty much pretty much your standard dog handler job. It's kind of sitting on a perimeter and just obviously patrolling the perimeter, making sure no one's getting on, etc. So if you're inside the festival, I can imagine that is a massive pain in the arse. With whenever you deal with public and drink, you're asking for a bit of a nightmare. So I would say I would probably put festivals up there, although I haven't worked them. I don't think I would enjoy that too much, to be honest. So yeah, they're probably the top 5 worst locations. Sort of no perimeter. What did I say? No perimeter. Building sites in the winter. Oh, I can't remember. You have to watch it back. I can't remember what the other ones were. The ones with surveillance, etc. But yeah, I'd say that they're probably the worst ones. The worst one of them all is probably the building site in the winter, because like I say, you walk clay into the van, clay gets everywhere in your van, the dog gets clay all over him, all inside the cage, all inside his non-slip floor. But yeah, I'd say that building sites in the winter is probably the worst, because you're just guaranteed to cover the van with mud, but also all the rocks and all the clay and all that spinning up and hitting the underside of your van. You end up with a big block of clay on the underside of your van as well, and it can start ruining your motor as well. But yeah, I'd say that they're probably the top 5. I can't remember exactly all 5 of them, but yeah, I'd say that they're probably the top 5. Cheers, bud. Great chat. There, I will call it there, because that is 66 minutes. That was good. I think that was good. I think having them lists to come in, hopefully I got through them all right. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, make sure you get a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. Down in the description is also my Patreon. If you like what I do and you want to help support me and you want me to continue doing this, then the Patreon's there, from as little as £3 a month, which is less than a Happy Meal. For less than a Happy Meal a month, you can help me to do this for a little bit longer. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll possibly take these lives down to maybe 1 a week, so I might just do it every Thursday from now on, because the Monday one's not been supported as well as the Thursday one. So yeah, I'll probably take it down to 1, but I will see you again next week. I need to film my video for Saturday, which is going to be another top 5, so keep an eye out for Saturday. It's going to be another top 5, and yeah, I'll see you again in the next video. Just watching. Have a good weekend. I'll see you later. Bye. And I'll turn it off. Bye.